Hello, this is Daniel Vaya, personally known as Johnny Mac, and welcome to Raw vs. Nitro on the Wrestling World as I See It podcast. I started doing this paint job for fun to see how I can draw it, and I remembered why it's so hard to paint on when I'm looking at myself on the computer. It's actually easier to paint using a mirror or a camera than to paint on the computer here. Okay. Okay. Okay, I don't always do this. I'm gonna let y'all know that the color yellow is my mom's favorite color. So I used yellow because I don't usually use it, and I thought, why don't I try it? So, um, I do a chart like this so it'll be easier to try to take off. Now, the night after on WCW Uncensored 1997, WCW Nitro started off with they showed an extra clip from Uncensored the night. Let me restate that. For my I think they knocked out Lex Luger, who had ended the show, I believe, by hugging Sting. That's his way of telling Sting, "I'm sorry, I should have trusted you all along." Okay, so see on the continue watching section. spoke all the way up to I spoke all about Monday Nitro versus Raw up until until uncensored. So I have to look back at the WWE section. Look for WCW. Here it is. Okay. So I just have to look up uncensored. 1997. Okay, let's see. March 16th. So I would have to look for Monday Nitro, March 17th. Actually, Raw, March 17th. All right, let's see what happens. Beginning of the show. Yeah, they let Dennis Rodman spray the what looks like the letters NWO on Lex Luger's back. They were in Savannah, Georgia for this event. Okay, bring out Psychosis after Tony Schiavone lets the audience know for people who do not watch Uncensored who won the main event the night before. What it means, at least it's starting this night, they'll be able to vie for any championship at any time of the year. So I think Psychosis was hoping to win the cruiserweight title right here. what I'm not understanding, looking back at this, what I'm not understanding is why didn't they feature Prince Iakea more in the cruiserweight matches? Because he looked like he would have been a perfect cruiserweight wrestler for his size. Okay, so this is more like he's looking to gain look like he's looking to gain a ranking climb as far as being in the cruiserweight division goes. Hmm. Okay, start off with a lockup here. Waist lock by Rey Mysterio Jr. Coca Assist is trying to get out of it, but as going to his as he's sitting down and just he's not able to break out of it. You'd think it would be easy when look at the size difference. Sometimes it makes it harder when your opponent's shorter, theoretically speaking. Finally gets out of it as Ray Jr. goes for a pin attempt with the crucifix. Yeah. Gets out of it finally with a front face lock. He lets go, Braids to give him an Irish whip. Sunset flip. 1, 2, kick out by Psychosis. I said on my live video last night that it was supposed to be centered on Raw, but because Nitro always went straight into the action, I thought, why don't I start with Nitro? Because I don't remember watching this. Um, so that's why I decided to watch the beginning of Nitro. Let me state that I remember watching this. I don't remember watching it from a podcast. But as I'm saying that they were showing the Japanese announce team and the Spanish announce team. They were very close to each other. So that because as I've gotten to understand more about technology, I think the reason that their tables were close together was to make it easier for the fans who speak Japanese and Spanish to be able to hear them. Test of strength here, but I like just how they use the test of strength as a way to lock up. Ray Jr. is getting the best of the exchange, and he ends with a drop kick, and that's what stops the test of strength. Which I think if they would bring back the test of strength, I think that would help them tell a story more. Because the test of strength is not only to see who wins, but it's to see if they choose to do it, if they choose to end it fairly or not. Mysterio Jr. He did like a looked like he almost did like a snapmare with his with his legs after springboarding from the middle rope. Okay. had to run about 30 seconds, because I'm not really sure if I went too far or far enough. Okay. Okay, now I know I have it where I need it to be. They even showed Pedro Morales, which many people today know as a former WWE heavyweight champion in the Worldwide Wrestling Federation days. Matter of fact, one of the longest reigning heavyweight champions in the company, the history of the WWE. Only one who may have beaten his record would be Bruno Sammartino. And that's impressive in itself. What's impressive in itself is the history that both men have, and the fact that both men um, what's impressive is how Bruno Sammartino, great wrestler from my understanding, but if you just look at him based off of how he would look, based off of how he was built, you may only think of him as a big man. You may not think of him for having a lot of technique. And in those days, technique was everything. That's why it's impressive to see somebody as impressively built as Pedro Morales. And I don't know if it was a lack of ability to draw as much as sometimes people just get tired of the traveling, so they just said, I need to go home, so they agreed to lose the title. So I don't know if it was the lack of drawing as much as he just wanted to go home. Right here is when Ray did that snapmare with his feet as he sprung off the metal rope. Goes for that flying head scissors from the top apron of the ring onto Psychosis outside. Perfectly executed. I may not have anything to do with it, but that may be where Mickey James got the idea of doing a flying head scissors herself. Let's see. Yeah. He's set up, talking about Psychosis, that is. Setting up Rey Mysterio for looks like it's a power bomb, but it's keeping him on his right shoulder. What appears to be a backbreaker or something. Okay. He just planted him in the top turnbuckle pad. Ooh. He's running towards Ray Jr. Ray picked up his head. He went straight through the middle rope, hit his shoulder or bicep, and he fell out to the ring. Then Ray Jr. followed up with a running middle rope plunge, I believe. That's what they call it. When I was a teenager, it was called a plunge, I believe. Okay, actually, it was a running. He jumped over the top rope with a somersault, it looked like. And now they're both on the mat, so they both have to find a way to beat the 10 count. Ray Jr. throws him in there right away, signaling for the Frankenstein or the Hurricane Rana. Okay. Goes for it. One, two, three. Okay. Believe correctly, in order to correctly um, rank a match, I believe you have to think about they how the standard match is ranked according to the people that according to how the wrestling journalists rank them. Believe they look at storytelling, wrestling, technical wrestling ability, and things of that nature. The Sportster website, um, well, I think they have one of the best websites out there as far as writing goes. Well, they do their own match rankings themselves, and they base it off his technical wrestling ability. First off, storytelling, psychology and character work, and crowd reaction. The only problem is I don't know why they constitute a 4 star as opposed to a 3 star. A 5 star um, or higher could be considered a match that fills everything they're looking for. So that's why promos are so important. That's what I know that I never fully understood until I started looking up till I looked up how the Sportster ranks matches themselves. One thing I never was the how do you say that? It's how important um, it is when people how important promos are in matches. So what does it do either for your character work or for the story of the match? And right here, it's obvious. I mean, obvious to me the book, way they way they rank their shows. It's obvious to me that how can I say I'm really struggling right now. Oh yeah, I mean, obvious to me that the way they say to rank matches, it's obvious to me that the best ranked matches are the ones that have all 4 boxes checked. And that's why cutting a promo is so important in all of the matches. But when it's either an opening match or a filler match, that's why they may not get ranked a lot because they may not see it as a match that's worth ranking because they may not have the ability to add to their character or to tell a story or anything like that. So a lot of people have technical ability. A lot of people are great technical wrestlers. Like they can execute maneuvers, but sometimes they don't have the chance to tell a story, to use psychology and character work. And some people, even if you get a reaction, but it's not what people would call, like, if you get heat, but it's not what people would call true heat. People may say that it's not as good as it could be because um you're not getting the right response. So if I was to rank the first match in Nitro, I would say it's about, I would say any match with Rey Mysterio is gonna have technical wrestling, storytelling, and it's gonna get a crowd and psychology and character work. Let's say that. So I would say that the first, that's me not knowing what constitutes a 5 star, only knowing what constitutes match ratings. Now I really don't know anything about the business side of pro wrestling because all I've ever done is just watch it. I've never spoken to the only person I know that does that, not only in the business as a performer, but has done business inside of the wrestling business. I never really stopped to think of asking him any questions that would detail business because I didn't want to ruin it for the fans. Sometimes you feel like sharing everything you hear out of excitement, and I don't want to ask anything. I want to ask any questions about um, the business side of wrestling because I don't want to talk about it. There's purpose for it. When Okay, the opening match in Monday Night Raw, what was LOD, Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom facing off probably against members of the Nation of Domination because at WrestleMania 13 they had week before this they had come out to to join trying to remember his name. Ahmed Johnson to say, yeah, where's tag team partners? Sure enough, the tag team known as PG-13, which were like um I don't even know if this is even acceptable to say, but I'll say it anyway. They're like the Eminem tag team version, the Eminem version of Man on a Mission, where they would at least one of them would rap on their way to the ring. Or at least that's what it sounded like. Looks like they're gonna have to face off against Crush, Brian Adams, who I think is a friend of theirs, and looks like his tag team partner for the night was Savio Vega, which I didn't really understand why they added Savio Vega, because Savio Vega was, or Ryan Adams for that matter. No, it looked to me like looks to me like this Nation of Domination was not just um I mean, we know it was a race thing, but it looked like it looked like Ron Simmons' character Farouk was looking to help people that were held down despite what their race was. It looked like he was just for anybody who was held down. And Crush, who I'd seen him wrestle as Ryan Adams in WCW. I can tell you, he was a lot more capable than what they booked him in when he first grew facial hair and he let his real hair color grow out and he became Crush, this time with dark hair and a mustache and a goatee, or just a mustache. I'm not sure if, yeah, I think it was a mustache and goatee combined. And I can say with all honesty, I honestly believe this match, the way it's going out right here, does not won't even make it on the rankings because there's no technical wrestling. There's no technical wrestling. However, there is storytelling and there is psychology. The psychology and the storytelling is these four men are going to face each other in a multi-man match at WrestleMania. So they're just getting warmed up for the tag match at the pay-per-view. So really, right here, if you really want to be technical about it, because it could be a Chicago street fight, so that means that Ahmed Johnson and Hawk and Animal will go against just about every member of Nation of Domination. And that would really not be that much of a stretch because Hawk and Animal, their entire career, street fighting was what their gimmick was based off of. So going against five men with Ahmed Johnson, with them being in Ahmed Johnson's corner, would be like going against two men because they could go against 4 or 5 men at a time in a regular fight, in a regular match, and they would still find a way to beat them because of how tough they were, and they were street smart because of where they were from. And Chicago was perfect because they're from Chicago also. Now today we would kind of call that a cheap pop, but if you look at it in the old school terms, having them go, having them come back to their home state especially with the match we're gonna have. We actually, I think we would call that smart booking. I mean, Johnson was asked how he felt, how pleased he was. Now it's time for Jones to say how he feels about what's going on. Ron Simmons claimed nobody had better solidarity than he and his nation. I'd say better look to see how Ahmed's two new partners are faring with each other against your nation at the moment. Okay. So I'd headlock out of it into a hammerlock, elbow out of it this animal, tag tags in Hawk or Hawk tag himself in. Even show from the night before this in a house show, around at the time that Uncensored was playing, Raw is War had a house show, and Ahmed Johnson was about to actually pin either Ahmed Johnson. Yes, I was gonna say or Savio Vega. So yeah, Savio Vega was almost pinned the night before. Wait, crashes in there, duck, doesn't even get Hawk the second time Hawk gets him. Doesn't have any effect on him, but the headbutt has no effect on Hawk either. Gets crashed down with that drop kick, power scoop slam, fist drop. Say what you will about their lack of skill in the ring. Hawk had enough ability to jump up and do that fist drop all the time at any time during the match, at any given at will. So he had a lot of ability. Just didn't have a lot of technical wrestling ability, but other aspects of the other aspects of being a wrestler, he and Animal were masters. That's that's what Bret Hart said, and for him to say that, that's a big deal. Well, if I was to really try to see how I rank this match, I would say that if um, if technical wrestling is not being done in the ring during the match, and the other three parts are being done, I would say you could call this a 3 star or 4 star match. But I'd say 3 stars probably a good description if you leave out the technical wrestling ability. So I've seen a lot of tag teams throughout the years that exhibited technical wrestling ability. And I just don't see a lot of technical wrestling. I just see more brawling than anything. And so that takes a star away from what I understand. But it is it not in no way is it to criticize Legion of Doom or Nation of Domination. Legion of Doom is one of my favorite tag teams. Ahmed was just knocked the alcohol from the back by Ron Simmons, who used of all things, I think he used the Billy Club. Don't know how he got it. Could have been a crowbar too, but I think it was closer to a Billy Club. Yeah, they look like a Billy Club or something you use in a gang or something. I don't know. Speaking of Farouk versus Ron Simmons, or for no, he is Farouk. Never mind. Farouk versus Ahmed Johnson. Me and my mom had this discussion last night. If two people cannot get along, how can you let them wrestle? Because how can you trust that they're gonna be professional? Hog just tags an animal, and I know that it depends on the two people and the personalities. But I know that when Sasha Banks was still in the WWE, the only person who really couldn't get along with her was Alexa Bliss, and Bliss said that they could work together, they just couldn't get along. So in other words, they had respect for each other. They just didn't like each other, and that kind of reminds me of how Shane Douglas and Razor Ramon were in real life. They didn't like each other, but there was not a lack of respect. As a matter of fact, Shane Douglas, when he was on a kayfabe commentaries discussion, not really sure what it was for. It could have been a timeline episode. It could have been a timeline edition of ECW. I'm not sure. But when he was asked who would be a front part, instead of just saying jerk, they had to use the word for the front part. And he said that there are at least three people that I remember him saying yes to, but there were two people he said no to, and that would be Stephanie McMahon, not a jerk, and he said Scott Hall, Razor Ramon was not a jerk either. And after reading a recent comment, recently I read his personal view, Shane Douglas's personal views on Ric Flair not watching his match and critiquing him after he was asked to critique it by Shane Douglas. And he said he felt like Ric Flair didn't do for him what others did for Ric Flair. So, and that's when I realized, oh, it's just that it's hard to get along with Scott Hall, but he doesn't dislike him. That when you realize it in that way, you could be like, oh yeah, I can understand that. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that are not really a jerk, but they're not really a jerk. They're a jerk in general, but I just have a hard time getting along with them, and I can't always put my finger on it. But there's some people that would be hard to get along with, but they are not. But they're not necessarily terrible people. We just disagree on something that I hold sacred, and that's sometimes enough to that is sometimes enough to make you not like someone. Farouk came in with that same weapon, hit Animal with it, in the back, then hit Hulk with it, so they won by disqualification. That say that this would be a big time, be a big time 3-star match. Okay. Hmm. Ahmed came out. Somehow he found a way to get to his feet. He came out to help them. All three ran off the Nation of Domination. Eventually replay what happened when he came out. Used the board that he found in the back. And of all people to take the doomsday device, it was D'Lo Brown, the only man in a suit. So, so far, um, the opening match for Nitro beat Raw's opening match by rankings. Rey Mysterio Jr. cut a promo in the looking in the camera when this was over. That's what he says. Okay, I don't know what the purpose was of that because you could barely hear what he was saying. They do talk about the match, the replay they had for it. If it wasn't for Ray Jr.'s legs protecting, being tucked away, um, right where right right where the neck area is. Psychosis had injured his neck and been off the shelf for months. On the shelf for months. Excuse me. Speaking of that, Arn Anderson is here, and I could see from what he's wearing in the video, this is when he had announced that he needed to have neck surgery. That he needed 3 discs to be fused. And then it took him about 5 or 6 months for him to realize, I can't do this anymore. I'll start right here. And what I had no idea was the reason this is important is because he announced his retirement September of this year, 1997. What I did not realize was how, because he was in character, so to speak, he had to coincide what he was saying with people that he was associated with on TV. And he said something about Kevin's. I didn't know this, but Kevin Sullivan has a son named Ben. And Arn Anderson, I don't want to repeat what I was saying, but if this was real life, then I think it's pretty sad. But if it's just for character, then our kayfabe, as they used to call it, and it was a pretty strong thing to talk about. How you can feel like when you feel like you've lost your child emotionally, but when you turn it around and it's like your kid loses you. That's what Arn said right here. But whether it's true or not, I don't really know, and I don't think Arn was asked about this promo on his podcast, so I can't say if it's true or not. But it's interesting. It would be interesting to find that out. Arn Anderson, one of the absolutely a great of we talk about one of the greatest talkers for what I like. What I like in wrestling is either for it to be funny or for it to be serious, and it was something that I could relate to because my the way I don't want to reveal too much about my parents or anything of that nature, but I will say this. When they had asked him in that Horseman DVD about his promo skill, he said how that it's just like he accomplished his goal. If he was to hear me say it's something I could relate to, then I know he would say from what he said in this DVD extra that he accomplished his goal because he said he wanted to do an everyday analogy that fans, viewers can relate to. And he said how he shared something about this may seem a little too graphic for today's society, but he had asked a question if somebody threw your kid off a cliff, wouldn't you take it personally? That's perfect analogy to use in that specific time because there's one thing I've learned about my father a long time ago is never mess would ever mess with myself, my mom, and my brother, daughter-in-law, no sister-in-law, even my sister-in-law, even mess with anybody who is his family because he's gonna come after y'all, so to speak. Because then it becomes personal. He doesn't take it personally when you fuss at him, but when you mess with his family, then it becomes personal. That's what Orrin Anderson reminds me of, that kind of man. I never really heard anybody ranking a promo. So I'll just say this. Even something as reality based as this, because this whole thing was real. This whole thing was real life. So, so I'll just stick to just um, I'll stick to doing using um, match rankings for stick with using that instead of trying to rank a promo because I don't know, or an interview or an announcer or whatever this was, because I've never heard of anybody ranking that. I think I said this when I was talking about Uncensored. It was what was amazing to me was how they set up the announce table on a big platform instead of being on a regular floor level, and they looked so far up there that I would have been afraid to fall off myself. So they spoke about Diamond Dallas Page's I don't even know what to call it, run-in, so to speak, with Randy Savage the night before, where they involved his wife Kimberly, who about a year before this, he was putting his career on the line against Bruce Beefcake's character in WCW, which was originally supposed to be Johnny B. Bad, but he had decided to leave before this because he didn't he didn't want to continue the story because it's too because personally he felt like that was gone too far in the story, and Eric Bischoff would listen to him. But instead of sharing that and Eric Bischoff's recollection of it, instead of instead of going with that as his reason for leaving, he said that it was because he didn't think he could make Eric Bischoff could make him a star like Vince McMahon could. So that's the amazing thing to me is how about a year before this he was he was doing a story involving Kimberly now in a negative way where he no longer had her in his corner. Now it's come back around, and now she's being used in the story to elevate a story between he and his opponent. And in this case, it's not about. In this case, they're doing it the right way. And their needy peace farmer bodyguard Max Muscle, or just Max right here. They re I think today we used this expression called repackage. So they repackaged him, changed his look to where he had regular tights on, he grew a mustache, and all he has is a mohawk of sorts. And he was his first opponent in this re This repackaged character, Diamond Dallas Page. Okay, walk up and into the gut. A couple of elbows, wrist lock, into a hammerlock. Elbow knocks down. Nah, elbow rocks that Diamond Dallas. The clothesline knocks him down. I think he's got that. I think he just connected that elbow strike a couple of times onto Diamond Dallas. Kick out by Dallas. Then that elbow again to Dallas. Dallas starts fighting back with right elbows of his own. Blocks that right elbow, right, left, three lefts, right. I think he was trying to remember because anytime he was going to work with someone, he always practiced. This is impressive for considering how when he started, nobody thought he would make it. So now he just is sprung off almost like a, let's see, like a forearm across the either the face or the chest of Mike Smith. There's something a lot of people would not have said they thought he would be capable of 5 years before this. Okay, Max Hustle slows him down with the forearm into the gut. Let's see, Max Hustle going for the old school. Trying to think of what it's called. Full Nelson, because he breaks it with a jawbreaker. Diamond cutter, perfectly connected. Cover 2, 3. Wins the match. Psychology, crowd reaction, psychology, character work. Definitely here, so to say that was a 3-star match. Also, once again, not cut down, just an honest, honestly, what I understand about match rankings. Show the replay of that springboard forearm sash and the diamond cutter. 1, 2, 3. Eugene's gonna interview DDP again. Okay. I'm not really sure, but they didn't. I couldn't find the continue watching section. So I hit refresh. Let's see. Okay. So before they had WrestleMania 14, I remember they had Slammy Awards this year. What I what I'm amazed at is how when I would watch the replay, let me say that when I would watch WrestleMania 13 on DVD, I would never see them show highlights the Slammy Awards. I wonder if they added those highlights, excuse me, to the Peacock version of WrestleMania 13. Oh, so that's what happened. I remember now. Last time spoke about Raw versus Nitro from this year, from this era timeline of '97. They had announced the week before this that they're gonna have a world title match in the classic blue steel cage. All I know is how it ended. I don't know what happened beginning, middle, beginning or in the middle. So that's why I'm glad to see this because I didn't get to see the full match. Only got to see how it ended. Hmm. At some point during this telecast, Paulie Dangerously returns with his ECW people. I'm not sure when, but the whole idea is to confront Jerry Lawler. I think. Okay, so it'd be Hunter Hearst Helmsley with China. Show what happened 2 weeks before this, I believe, with China doing, I guess, called subduing Terry Runnels and then stopping Bret Hart the week after that when Bret Hart let his emotions overtake him and he was facing Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Then them escorting China out of the building, and the week before this episode, they showed a clip of Marlena trying to help Goldust by jumping on the back of China. Triple H jumped Goldust from the back. Get this, they had Harvey Whippleman dressed as a referee. She picked him up and threw him against Mike Yoda.
So her first times they went against Flash Funk, also known as Gold Scorpio. So the reason why Brodus Clay, also known as Tyrus, now known as Tyrus, reason why his gimmick was original to me is because I had never seen Flash Funk on Monday Night Raw, so I had no idea he was the original. He was the original Funkasaurus, so to speak, where he brought two women out with him to dance, and that's what he reminds me of. Gimmick reminds me of what Brodus Clay was when he was first in the WWE. Cameron and Naomi were his dancers, and and this was at a time talking about Flash Funk having two female dancers with them. This was at a time when women were not used as wrestlers like they were before. They were only used as either managers or an attraction because of how beautiful they were and art. Or as China was used, her for her sake, she was um, a bodyguard for Triple H, Hunter Helmsley, and that was about the only time they used a bodyguard for a man. And as Michael Hayes put it in real life, there's an art to there's an art to being able to show how unique she is because somebody big like him needs her to protect them. But the reason it worked, in my opinion, is that as big as Triple H was, he was also an aristocrat. So he wasn't at this point going to show any level of toughness. He was going to look for somebody to hide behind. So that's why it was perfect for him. Not only does it take art, but it helped his story. Released arm drag by Triple H after they locked up. Okay. 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 He trips up Triple H, Hunter Helmsley, pushes. He gets pushed by Hunter Helmsley. He runs to the ropes. Ropes runs over Triple H's back. He counters that clothesline attempt with a cartwheel. Gets caught, but he flips and he pulls down Hunter Helmsley with him. Release arm drag and a drop kick. Knocks down Hunter Hearst. And he clotheslines Hunter Hearst over the top rope on the outside of the floor. Baseball slide. Triple H avoids whatever he was going for. He goes out there, stands up, he gets clotheslined down to the mat by Triple H outside. Okay, Main's in control of the match. Irish whip to Flash. Flash kicks him in the chest. Double chops to Hunter. Irish whip. Leapfrog. But this time he gets caught by Triple H, who's going for a backward leapfrog, and Triple H went back with the electric chair drop to slow him down. When I watch this, I'm reminded of how Ric Flair told Tully Blanchard when they did Table for Three himself, Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson did Table for Three episode. And Ric Flair told Tully that of all the men he had ever wrestled with or ever knew in the business, there are only two men that never bothered working out on the never bothered getting on the treadmill when they would visit him at his house. The only thing that these two men did was work out in the weight room. And that's why it's amazing to me how Triple H could look so conditioned when he never did cardio. Just did a perfect vertical suplex. Just the Ric Flair like knee drop. Fix the leg, 2, kick out. I think he just slapped him was a mistake. They're both slapping each other left and right. Right hand by Flash did a chop. Right hand, C. Irish whip. Back body drop to Hunter. Clothesline. Irish whip. Ooh, splash like stings in the corner. C. Scoop slam to Hunter. Back drop. C. We couldn't be going for the 450 splash because Hunter is not positioned for it. Oh, or I'm not sure what kind of leg drop to call that. Guillotine leg drop. Yeah, yeah. He gets pulled away from Triple H or Hunter Helmsley by China. A face lock, turned that into German suplex to kick out. That's impressive. Triple H knew to use that kind of maneuver. So that's because I remember he lost to Alex Wright, and I believe he was hit with the German suplex by Alex Wright. So for him to know how to do it like that's impressive. Gets cut off when he goes from the top rope. Gets cut off with a counter move by Flash Funk, which was a kick. Kick out by Hunter to Flash Funk's attempt to pin. Going back suplex, perfectly executed. Gonna go for a leg drop, but he's gonna go forward from. Okay, this is a mistake. Going to the same corner. Okay. Kicking is good. But goes for the finish here. Pedigree. Pixelated 2-3 wins the match. There's enough technical wrestling in here that I feel like was technical wrestling. There was storytelling, psychology, and character work from Triple H. Crowd reaction, definitely. I'd say this is a four. It's very close to a 5-star match right here. Hmm. Right. We'll stop it right here. Thank you and goodbye. This is just first part. Raw versus Nitro from March 17th, 1997.